Hey everybody. There's less viewers at the moment than yesterday, but hopefully in the stream there. So today's agenda, we will start with Sonja Valjus telling you about intercultural communication. Then we'll have a short break, and after that, Esa and Haaga, so the exchange student. Our organization Helga will come talk to you about their view on you guys, and then we'll have a campaign focus. We'll go on Tutor on Monday, and then we'll take some feedback from you, get to know if you find this useful or not. Did you learn anything new yesterday? Yes, shaking head. Well, I hope today will be informal as well. I'll give the stage to Sonja. Like so.
Okay, hello again. And by the way, yesterday I forgot to mention you that, like, I mentioned something about the dates when the semester is going to begin, etc. But we have something new going on this year, so we will organize a course for the incoming exchange students about Finnish culture, language, and society before the semester begins. So some of the exchange students will be actually arriving 1 week before the pickup dates. So don't be surprised if the pickup group will be like much smaller than the actual group of students, because we have this special course taking place before, and you will get information about that as well. But yeah, today's session's topic is intercultural tutoring. So I guess many of you are already studying in intercultural groups, multicultural groups. So this is something like quite familiar for many of you, but not necessarily all of you, because some of you might be studying in Finnish in a Finnish group. So that's why we have this session. And I think it was so nice to organize this kind of session for a group that is international as such, because then practically you can share your experiences. And it's not about lecturing, but we will do an exercise. So that's what this hour is about. But before going to the practical part, let's go quickly through if this is there any of you for whom this topic is totally unfamiliar, like intercultural issues? So you all know. So then I will go through this quite quickly, but when I'm talking about culture, what I mean is that rich complex of meanings, beliefs, practices. So, for example, yesterday we talked about how to handle the garbage. That's like one kind of practice. So, in different countries, things are done differently. Symbols, norms, and values. And norms and values are, I would say, probably the most unconscious part of the culture. So, practically, what we see as right way to live or to behave, and then values as well, the same. Practically the kind of rules that are guiding our behavior and that actually make us evaluate others' behavior as well. Yeah, so all these kind of different things among a certain group of people. And I like this. This is from literature. Like a more, well, another way to describe culture. For men and women are not only themselves, they are also the region in which they are born, the city apartment or farm in which they learn to walk, the games they played as children, the old wives' tales they overheard, the food they ate, the schools they attended, the sports they followed, the poets they read, and the God they believed in. So here you can also see different aspects of culture. Um, so when I talk about culture, I definitely don't want to talk about national culture, so that we have the Finns and the Swedes or the Indian, because practically national culture is just one way to talk about this, but it's quite generalized uh, topic, the national culture, because usually under the umbrella of national, you have so many different cultures. So, and this is kind of like describing that a little bit as well. So practically, I see culture as social categories or collective identities of people. And one person belongs simultaneously to several communities that share a culture. So always, for example, this group of tutors, when you've been long enough together, you develop a little bit of a culture, what's the correct way to behave, etc. And then the importance of different group memberships changes from times and situations to another. For example, for me, an important group membership is that I'm a mother, but here at work, I don't think about it at all. So here it's not relevant how I would behave as a mother, but then I'm more an international coordinator here. So different identities are meaningful in different moments of your life. Um, And then it's important to also note that identities are always intersectional. So, for example, to see somebody just as, for example, to see me only as a mother would not be right, but I'm many other things as well. And for you all, it's the same thing. And usually, if you are different by some like external factor that is really visible for the others, they might easily see you only through that. But all of us, we are much more than just one identity. Um, And then when you belong to a group, your position in the group is also like different people have different positions in the group. So some people have more power in the group than others. So like how much you can affect the culture depends on your position in the group. Um, so when I talk about culture, I talk about the group level. So there are cultural similarities and differences between different groups. One was the national culture. Then we have ethnic cultures. For example, in Finland, even if the people living in the north of Finland belong, like they are Finns, but still their ethnicity is the Sami culture. Uh, then religion is one group that some of us find important. Professional culture, for example, here we have, I don't know, IT students and tourism students might have different kind of culture in their groups. And regional culture, for example, in Finland, if you talk about Helsinki or other parts of the urban parts of the country and then the countryside, the life can be quite different. Or even more so when I often use India as an example because I've lived there. And when you look at the life in the city in India and then the life in the countryside, there's a huge difference. So regional cultures are important. Then organizational culture. So even if you were an IT professional, depends on the company, what kind of culture there is inside the group where you work in. Then age group, so in different times, different values are important. Family culture, every family develops an own culture, so practically we all have a bit different values also from our family background. Then the era and other important reference groups, for example, from your hobbies, or like many people identify themselves through some other group that is important for them. And then, of course, we are all individuals. So we have our personal experiences. So even if we belong to these groups, we might actually choose not to behave how the group expects you to behave because you want to be individual and you want to go your own way. So in that sense, it's not that the group is forcing you to be one way, but like we all do belong to groups, but then we choose how much we follow the rules of the group. And then at the same time, there's the universal level, so the humanity. So we are all humans, and in that sense, we actually share much more than what makes us different. So I would say there are still more similarities than differences. Oh yeah, and then the social class appeared now, so that's also one factor. When I talk about culture, I want to emphasize that it's not a closed container, but rather a cluster of relations. So all the cultures are affecting other cultures, and no culture is well, like unchangeable. And usually culture is also not the most important definer of a community because it changes constantly, and then it also appears differently to different members of the community. So for example, if we take an example of the Finnish culture, if I would ask you and you and you, probably you would define the Finnish culture quite differently. So there's not like one agreed way to define often a group's culture. And then borrowing and combining elements and getting influenced by other cultures is natural to all cultures. And then when we talk about intercultural tutoring, the important topics in this field are the adaptation and integration issues. So sometimes, well, I would say for exchange students, this is not so, because they only come for usually one semester, so it's a relatively short period of time. But we always have some students that actually have some mental challenges during their student exchange. It might be the first time that they're living away from their family, and then if there are many challenging things happening at the same time in their life, they might end up needing some help as well. So that's something to take into account. Then, of course, you will encounter cultural differences, and that's a wonderful learning experience for you as well, that you can learn how people do things in different cultures. Then there might be some language issues in different languages when people have their own mother tongue, and then they are translating. You kind of like might get lost in translation because when you're thinking through your own language, because many of our exchange students don't have English as their mother tongue. So then that's why this might be the first time that they are translating from their own language. So there might be some misunderstandings because of language issues. And then, of course, when we talk about multicultural groups, there might be some prejudice or racism issues there as well. So yeah, so those are the topics I could like talk a whole day about these issues. But we've chosen to have this. Since usually I have a session in the afternoon, and especially today on Friday afternoon, and after the Vappu week, you might be tired. So let's move to the more practical part. So with tutors, I like to do this communication role play, which is called cocktail party. Practically you will, well, not yet, but you will need to stand up, and then you will have a small group discussions, and you will get instructions on how to behave on a small piece of paper. Don't show the paper to anybody else, just keep it for yourself, and then follow the instructions when you are discussing. And the topic is tutoring. So you can practically talk about anything that comes to your mind, but just remember to follow the instruction that you get. And it can be kind of like a cocktail party, so you can like go into small groups and you can change from one group to another. And so try to talk with many different people. So you all have a small piece of paper. So then you can stand up and come here and start discussing. So the topic was tutoring, but you can even talk about, I don't know, flowers if you want. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm so tired, but I still love watching. I wanted that one. That would be me. Okay, dude, you had four. I had the one that you should be like touching and hugging and oh. So it was
So for the others, the role number one was show your enthusiasm and interest to the topic by being physically close. Stand close, touch people when you talk to them. You might even hug if the discussion gets very interesting. You want to clearly emphasize that this is interesting. How did it feel?
I'm totally opposite of that, like 100% opposite of that. I always have my own space unless I know the people. But it was hard because we didn't kind of like we were just thinking, what can we talk? And then we didn't think about anything, and then we were just talking about the notes we had. It was kind of hard. But then Miko came, and we were both like touching each other.
Well, yeah, for the topics were a little bit not the things I think all the time, but I tried my best.
And was it natural for you to be touching? Or?
Yeah, I find it.
Yeah. And how did it feel for you others when they were touching you?
Sometimes it seems a bit unnatural.
Yeah.
When you say hello, and then you start talking, and suddenly they just hug you in the middle of the sentence. So maybe it was a bit odd.
Yeah. But the like touching is a part of communication that is very different in different cultures. I don't know if any of you would like to share about. I don't know if you felt something about this when communicating with others. Maybe your own culture is more touching than
Yeah. Well, I would say that my culture is really like that. So that's why I laugh when they say like it was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because for me it would be so kind of natural.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind. But I understand that others are not the same.
And how have you found living in Finland? Because for Finns usually we touch much less, and as you said, more with the very close family members or friends.
Quite hard. Especially in the beginning.
Yeah. Before you kind of like back to the local way, or maybe you can teach your friends to, get more touchy. That's it. But also that like where you can touch is cultural. So in different cultures, like sometimes you can touch here, or in some cultures it's not best
like the kind of the opposite because I come from a very like huggy and touchy, maybe sometimes like over like hey, and
Yeah.
then lick someone's face if it feels natural. So I'm already usually very comfortable with that. So it was actually interesting because for other people in other countries, if they had met twins, they actually usually still work quite like they notice that kids are quite loud as well because the ones usually go abroad to those countries or different countries and they go out so they're quite loud there. So someone's actual view of twins was actually kind of to be like loud and outgoing, one of those like let's hug. So like I like to hug when I meet people like on my first days and
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think it's quite personal. And also we, like nowadays, we meet people from everywhere and our groups are not definitely not like, we are not isolated anywhere. So we get influences from everywhere and that's why like everybody has the personal style, how to behave. Yeah.
I think if the culture like molds you into this kind of thinking that it's not okay, you can also like grow out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
You can like get to use to touch.
Yeah.
But the sad thing, my friends, I play football, so my teammates, they're really huggers, and they knew that I hate it, so they tried to rehab me by hugging me whenever they saw me at practice, during practice, after practice, and it was awful. But after about 1 year from that, then I started to hug people if I hadn't seen them for about a month. So now if I hadn't seen my friends for a while, I hug them, and now especially people, we usually hug each other if we see each other. So, but that's something that I didn't do about a few years back, and
Yeah.
like so they just rehab me out of it.
Yeah.
But it's still sometimes hard and awkward. But
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's actually that like culture is never something stable, but we can learn, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And we can also switch from one culture to another when we learn how different cultures function easily when we become more familiar. Then who had the role number 2?
Yes.
3 persons. So the role number 2 was keep an arm's length of distance to the person you are talking to. People find physical closeness irritating, especially when talking to strangers. Family members and good friends can sometimes come closer. So how did it feel to be in this role?
Of course. Because you're closing yourself from everybody. You're always like taking a step back, and when people some of them were trying to hug, I'm like, okay, it's like not natural for me because I'm not like a hug person, but I try to do what like people do the first step. So I'm like, yeah, let's hug.
Yeah.
And then like also it's harder to talk when you're like standing like this and like for example we had to say like we're standing like so like maybe you don't like me like
Yeah.
it just feels so weird. So yeah.
And that's actually part of this exercise is like how others interpret certain kind of behavior, because depending where you are, it can be interpreted quite differently. And also the distance, like if you don't come close, it might feel suspicious. Or yeah. How did you feel?
Well, I was also like really uncomfortable because I'm not that kind of person that I'm just like want to be of the
Yeah.
person, but
Yeah. And you?
Yeah, I'm totally agree with Daria and him. I came from that culture where it's considered very rude if you talk with someone. It's considered like that person is not sincere with you, like if they are. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important. Closer.
Yes. And like I try to avoid generalizations, but in Finland, often as you said also when you mentioned that like you like usually people like to have a lot of space. So this is kind of like all these examples are exaggerated, but still this is kind of like something similar to that.
that's me, 100% me.
Yeah.
I do that. So if someone tries to hug me, usually I take a step back
Yeah.
and be like, I give my hand and be like, hi.
Yeah. So these were kind of like the first and the second roles were kind of like the opposite from each other. Then who had the role number 3? You and yeah. So the role number 3 was it's impolite to talk loudly. Speak in a soft and silent voice. If it feels like the person you are talking to cannot hear you, move closer. It makes you both feel comfortable and friendly. So how did you feel?
Yeah, well, my voice is gone, so actually it was like perfect for the moment.
Okay.
I was like, anyways, like, hello, hey. So I was trying to find like if like them just go to like when there's only a few people, so I can be like, hey, and if they can hear me. But I like I it's okay, but it's for me it's also kind of like ought to like really speak quietly because I'm one of those people that if someone speaks super quietly and like constantly, it does bother me. It is one of those things like if you go to let's say in a store or somewhere and someone speaks quite quietly, it's like and if I ask them like could you repeat it please or like I try to and if they still speak super quietly, it does bother me
Mm.
and sometimes I find it yeah it's just
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what about you?
I have the same thing because I bother sometimes if someone speaks so like softly and because in my culture we speak so loudly, like
Yeah.
we're a large person, so it's so different.
Unnatural. Yeah. And have you encountered this kind of a cultural like communication norm somewhere? Where?
Sometimes some of my Korean friends and some are quite quiet until like if there is also if it's a night out or if it's other type of people. Sometimes they can speak very quietly because they believe it's like also like about the kind of harmony, which also goes to like all sorts of like group works because it's kind of also like you like to talk over someone, so it can kind of go that one.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it's in group works, for example, it's very tough to find gain all the knowledge that they would have or like get their input sometimes, which where they could do they might be very, very bright, but they're not putting all the like, hey, by the way, this would be better than your idea.
So
So-
not criticizing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're beautiful sights to go.
Yeah. And what about because sometimes this is also seen related to gender, that this would be kind of like expected in certain situations from female. Have you?
Yeah, I feel like usually like women get called out for being so loud and usually get called obnoxious for that. Like if they talk over loudly or like on the phone if they're in like public settings. So I feel like guys, I don't want to make this about gender, but like, usually guys get, away with it because it makes them seem more social and like, friendly to people. So I do feel like women have a sort of expectation to be really feminine because soft voice is like connected to it. Because you talk nicely, then you're more feminine and more feminine. So for me,
Okay, so who had the role number 4? And there. So the role number 4 was avoid direct eye contact when talking to people. Direct eye contact is considered rude and aggressive. So show respect to others by looking somewhere else, to your feet, for instance, when you're talking. How did it feel?
Pretty weird.
Yeah.
Like I am very used to see the people when they are talking to me. So it was pretty difficult to do it.
Yes. What about you?
Yeah, and I really don't understand how to make it because when you're speaking with someone, the face is in front of this person. So to avoid eye contact, you have to turn your head and really strange.
Yeah. Yeah. How did the others feel about this kind of behavior? Did you notice that they were following this kind of a...
I feel like it feels really rude. And it's kind of funny because I used to be the type of person that's never looking from the side. So I feel like Finnish people mostly like try and avoid it because they might feel like it's kind of invasive in a way if someone like keeps staring at you. And I actually tried to get that sort of habit away from me. And I actually tried to really look into someone's eyes at least for a couple of seconds. And then it was like, but yeah, it did feel a bit like they're not listening to me. And, like, it just made me feel like, should I leave right now? Do you want to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got a funny story from this because I'm always connected to culture, but also actually my mother is blind or has very little sight, so she can't technically look someone in the eye. She doesn't see their eyes probably. But this is something always when I was home, friends home, warned about because they were considering her rude. staring the eye when she met them.
Mm.
So that's always culture considering.
Yeah, you know, I actually have like, I'm not blind, but like almost all my life I've never wear like glasses or like lenses, and I don't see like properly people's faces. So it's like a spot there, so I don't have like eye contact. But then when I started wearing glasses, like, oh my god, there's so many people looking at me, and it was like a new world. And when you look like straight in people's eyes, it's like sort of you're opening your soul in a way. So the conversation gets so much faster, deeper, and nicer in a way. But also heard from people a thing actually that he can look at people's eyes who are older than him or like a boss who is like higher in the hierarchy, for example. So it's also like a long for some people.
Yeah, that was a very important point because often this like eye contact is related to power as well. So the ones who have more power usually have longer eye contact, and in certain cultures, I have an example from Japan, from a person who practically grew outside Japan in the US and then went back before the school age, so maybe at the age of 5 or something. And then in the kindergarten, they were like, she was punished all the time and she didn't understand why. And then in the end, she learned that it was because of the eye contact, that she was so bravely taking eye contact with the teachers of the kindergarten that it was like too much. So they felt that she was behaving impolitely towards them and not showing respect. But yeah, so in certain situations, it can be related to authority and hierarchy, definitely. Yes. Any other comments about?
I've heard that Nordic people stare a bit too intensely into
Yes.
their eyes.
Yes, I've heard that as well. Yes, yes. For example, with some Belgian students, we've had the discussion that practically, yeah, so the length of how long you look, because if it's very long, it can be actually interpreted as something sexual when you're looking too long at somebody. So yeah, that there are also big differences in cultures, and sometimes Finns have a very intensive look. Also, with the eye contact, often, at least in Finland, honesty is related. So if you are looking somebody straight in the eyes, then you're considered more honest than if you are like kind of like looking everywhere else. So it's kind of like could be a sign that you're hiding something. Yeah. Who had the row number 5? You and anybody else? Okay. And this is actually a challenging one, since all these are exaggerated. So always count to 7 before answering a question. Interrupting is rude. You show respect by waiting until others have finished their sentence. How did it feel?
Super easy.
Okay. Yeah. So it was kind of like a natural thing to do for you. Did the others notice anything special? Probably not, because this is actually typical in Finland that people are given space to finish their sentence and then the next one is jumping in. Yes.
I was a bit uproar with this because I speak out loud, I guess. So I thought that it would be like really like extroverted situation there. But yeah, that way you can feel like the urge to bring out the words. Perhaps it's hard to not always like wait for somebody to finish their sentence.
Mm.
Yes.
And there's the opposite. Yeah.
You get the urge to like speak out perhaps. Or if you like try to approach it in a future way. Yeah.
Yeah. There's an opposite role here as well. The role number 6. Who has that one? You and you. So you want to keep the discussion going on all the time. Develop the ideas and comment the opinions of others while they talk. Help others to develop their thoughts by suggesting good words and viewpoints. By interrupting, you show that you are inspired and interested. Silence is something bad. It means that there are some problems in the group or there is something negative going on. You make sure that there are no silent moments in the discussion. How did it feel? Yeah.
Like told my minute like
well, we within my family, that everyone just does their own thing and no one actually listens to what the other one is saying. But then with like kind of new people, I'm not that all like that. So
Mm. Yeah, so it also different how you behave differs from situation to another. Yeah, and the other one was you. Yeah.
This was really weird for me because in like new groups that I don't know, I usually tend to be like more quiet, but then I start like then I am talkative with people I already got to know. But like speaking non-stop and constantly interrupting was something that I don't normally do. So yeah, but it was nice. It was like trying to kind of like search for myself. Like, I don't know, better word for it would be to like kind of um well discover a new side to myself, I guess, that I could try to exercise in social situations.
Yeah. How did others feel about this? Did you notice that they were following this kind of communication pattern? So how did you feel?
I think it was good actually. Like in my normal everyday life, I feel like I'm that type of person.
Yeah.
Today maybe I'm tired and I didn't show it to the rest of the group. But usually I try to keep the conversation going on somehow.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very like American way of talking because I know that every time I've spoken to someone who's from America and we've had like silent moments, they instantly panic. And you know, if I'm on the other side of the line and I'm just they're suddenly asking me like, hey, are you okay? Like what's wrong? And I'm like, no, we can just chill. We don't need to talk constantly because I find comfort in silence, but they might find it very uncomfortable.
Yes.
When it's quiet, because they might think that something's wrong or like, oh, it's boring, or maybe I should do something and they panic and try and talk. When I'm just like, no, you know, it's okay.
Yeah. And that's actually something that you could discuss with the exchange students because this is something that they will probably notice in Finland, that the silence is tolerated a lot in Finland, and that silence is actually positive silence because in many cultures, as you said, silence is considered as something negative.
I think there's a good point here, Tanya, that still, even if silence is considered good in Finland, is that, for example, this is a totally perfect description of me. I will behave exactly like this, and I'm totally sitting my husband again is number 5, so you can see the going on at home. But I do sometimes get the point out that I'm rude, that I speak too much.
Yeah.
I think those kind of people are really good for new, like the new group of people. Exchanges come, they're ready to start the conversation. But then there's a point they need to slow down and like give some space to other people because sometimes like even like for example, I saw yourself that she was like posing actively because she tried to be more brave. And just like basically taking all over the place, and there are others who are shy, for example, or like for example, mine were they were closing people, so they don't have space to talk. So interesting one.
Yeah. I myself have been as an exchange student to Italy. I'm from Finland. And when I went there, I speak Italian, and also there I was speaking Italian. And when you speak Italian, you have to do this. You don't get to say anything if you don't do this. So that's why I find this interesting because when I went there first, I wasn't really able to say anything if there were like more than 2 persons in the conversation. So if it was a bigger group, it was more like throwing the ideas to the conversation and like very lively discussion. And I think it took me maybe 2 months to learn to do it, and then I did learn, and then I was doing the same, and it was really, as you said, like it's nice to explore new sides of yourself. And then when I came back to Finland, it was a huge problem because I was really interrupting everybody, and also because I didn't used to be like that. So I had changed during my exchange. So that's also like an example of how you develop culturally. And now I think actually it's been such a long time that I've been there that I couldn't do it anymore, probably, even if I do speak the language. But you kind of like lose the practice if you haven't been practicing it. Then who had the role number 7? 3 of you. People love it when they are noticed. Call them by their first name when you talk to them. Ask for their opinion. Involve them by using their first name. This is how you get people to like you. So how did you feel about it?
I think it's quite simple. At least for me, I find it easy. But in this exercise here now, I think it was a little bit hard because I still don't remember everyone's name. So
Yeah.
what was her name? But then again, yeah.
And normally you would be
Yeah.
using the first name, yeah. What about you? Yeah.
Normally I wouldn't use the first name, and now when we are just have met, and then I don't remember everything.
Yeah,
So it
I'm
was
sorry
quite
about that. I should have given you name tags or something. Yeah. I didn't think about it. And somebody else had it too?
Yeah. So well, I had the same problem as David. So
Yeah.
I'm really bad, like usually just remembering everyone's name. So that was super hard for me. And then I'm like, we have so many like discussions going on. Yeah. Wait, what was your name? No, can you repeat? Like it was really hard, but usually I do that, so it's not like
Yeah.
not like difficult for me. It comes like very naturally. I just it comes naturally.
Yeah, yeah. How do you find it natural to use the first name of the person you're talking to all the time?
Depends which language.
Yeah, which language? Yeah, exactly. So in which language would you use it?
A lot in Russian.
Yeah.
When I'm speaking my mother tongue, yeah.
Yeah.
But in English, well, maybe if I know the person quite well, or then, but like if it's Finnish friends, rarely.
Yeah.
Really rarely. For some reason, I don't know why. It feels weird to call me
Yeah,
by name.
and that's the thing, it goes with the language or the culture. In
Yeah.
Finland, it's quite rarely used, and it's sometimes actually interpreted as like people use the first name when they talk to children. So it's kind of like part of the authority as well, or to your dog, but not with like not necessarily that much when adults talk with each other, which is quite interesting. Who else would you like to say? Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that I actually spoke about this idea with my friends because there was some person who was doing it a lot. And we're like, actually, that's a good way because I always forget people's names. So I've actually made that into like how I greet everyone, even if I know them. I'm like, hey, woman, or hey, dude, what, you know? So and there's a lot of people whose names I do actually go and ask, like after like months. And which is something that I've wanted to start like now, like let's do this because we all have this issue that like we don't remember them. Like it's I've started to think that I want to use this. That was like before, but I forgot it, and now I'm like, oh wait, now I can start doing it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody feels a lot better. Like we've talked about how you feel a lot nicer when someone remembers your name. You feel like, hey, like awesome, like you remember, like hey, great, you know.
Yes.
You feel like you belong.
Yeah, actually, like for me, names are such a big thing because I'm afraid of like saying someone's name when I don't know them quite well because I'm going to say them wrong or like it's so confusing. But there is one point when I'm actually started like saying like everybody's names, and this is like means that they're my friends now. So you can you don't say your name out loud. But also like when other people are saying my name, I'm like oh, it's just like making me feel so much better.
Yeah.
I think I have a bad habit with that. Like, if I talk to my friends and I talk about some other friends of mine, I always confront them by their name, like, hey, Jussi did that, and she did that, and Anna did that, and they're like, who the hell is Jussi and who the hell is Anna? Like, I don't explain that, hey, my friend's friend or my sister or anything like that. I always talk about them like with their names, and I just figure out that when I talk to my boyfriend, I always say his name, and sometimes he said like, "It's like you're talking to your dog." Like,
Yeah. Sometimes in Finland it's interpreted.
yeah, and I think I use it more with him than with my dog.
When I was working in India and my supervisor was using my name all the time, I felt that like my supervisor was putting me down. Although I know that that they didn't mean it, but for me it felt like that. Any other examples of this? Okay, so now we went through all the different roles. There was another one, but I didn't give this to you because if it's not natural for you, it's quite difficult to easily learn this. So the eighth role would have been about direct communication. So direct talk is aggressive. Only uneducated people express themselves directly. You express yourself in an indirect manner using euphemisms and describing the context and other relevant details related to the issue. Only in the end, you reveal the main point. You assume that others understand your message even before you explicitly say it. Have you encountered this, or is this familiar to you?
Is that like beating around the bush, like when you're not going to the main point? I don't know if I completely get what that means, but yeah, I have encountered that, and it feels a bit what I could kind of like just get to the point. I feel like sometimes in work actually you get that sort of thing, and that maybe your supervisor or your boss doesn't want to tell you the truth, and then you're just gonna have to guess what they're trying to say. At least that's how I sometimes feel in my whenever I've been working somewhere, especially if I've been younger significantly and they've been older, and they might not respect me enough necessarily say the thing directly to me because of my age. At least that's for like my experience.
But then in certain cultures, it's to show respect of not saying, especially negative things too directly. Would any of you have any examples of this? Often, yeah.
I think it's like the thing is like it's very American. Also the way of like how to give feedback on a meeting usually. That it's like let's say for a French person, they never get to be like no one says like oh you did a great job. Then it's like well it was an amazing job. And as an American, for example, they go like first into the idea of like hey hey that was nice and and then it's like you could do this a little better and then but that was nice. And if it was, let's say, a French person who had always been in France, they would just go out of this meeting just being like, "Hey, woohoo! I was like amazing," instead of understanding the actual meaning. So for me, I just think about like the communication, like in the core of business.
Yeah, how directly it's about being polite as well. But in certain cultures, you really avoid giving negative feedback. I could give an example again from India when I was living there. And for example, in a restaurant, if the restaurant, I don't know, I give an example, like I wanted to order lobster and that was on the menu and I ordered it. And then the person serving me just did little things with face, but never said that we don't have it and took the order. And then it took hours and nothing was arriving. And then in the end, I found out that they didn't have it, but they wouldn't directly say it. So then when I was living there longer, I learned to interpret the face. So from the facial expression, I learned that, okay, this is not possible, or this is not doable, we don't have this, instead of directly saying that unfortunately we don't have this lobster today. So like kind of like giving these non-verbal cues in certain cultures. I don't know if any of you agree with, yeah? Yes, would you like to say something about this or no? Okay, yeah. So this is we do have students coming from some Asian cultures, so there might be also one way to show disagreement is to just leave the situation. So you don't want to directly say that you were not happy, so you just leave the situation. So that's one way to show, for example, that you were not happy. So sometimes, yeah, there are big differences in giving feedback in different cultures. Yeah, so intercultural communication is all about observing what the person you are talking to is doing. And we could talk about different levels of the observation process. So the first level is neutral description. So for example, if we talk about this classroom, I can just say that the chairs are blue and the wall is gray, and that's like very neutral. Then when I go to the interpretation level, I could practically describe that what a beautiful blue color they've chosen, and probably they've chosen it so that the students would feel this and this, etc. And then the evaluation level is that what this means. And actually talking about communication, it's easier than maybe describing the chairs, but so practically rarely we neutrally just observe what the others are doing, but we quite quickly jump into making evaluations of what this means, if this is polite or not, if the other is respecting me or not. And then we have these like emotional reactions based on how our evaluation is. So for humans, it's really difficult to neutrally observe the conversation. And various interpretations can be made of one situation. So often, well, what I like to use in intercultural trainings are these critical incidents, so that you're like thinking of situations where that were somehow like strange or something went wrong, and then you analyze those situations like intercultural situations. And then usually you also interpret the situation from the viewpoint of the different persons involved, and usually you find out that there might be totally opposite interpretations, and that's why there was a misunderstanding, because you were trying to be nice and polite, but then the other interpreted it totally differently and got angry, and then the situation might have gone wrong. So observations are culture specific, and we also pay attention to details that are relevant in our culture. So that's yeah. And this is also about social norms that are guiding our judgment. So social norms are unwritten rules about how to behave, so cultural rules. And each social situation entails its own particular set of expectations about the proper way to behave. Such expectations vary from group to group, and behavior that is against the norms is often interpreted negatively. So this is typical in intercultural communication. And in the end, I will go to practically to the intercultural communication competence. I have 5 minutes, so I still have a lot of time to get deeply into this topic. But so practically, I would say this is something that I will say about this is that we all make mistakes, and that's something that we cannot avoid. And I think like learning cultural things is a wonderful learning experience. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Rather, try to learn from the mistakes, because often we try to forget if it's like a painful situation and something went wrong, so we don't want to think about it. But I would encourage you to especially think about those moments, because those are usually moments that you can learn from, and discuss with the other person how did they feel in the situation, and you might actually learn something about cultures. But yeah, so about Finnish communication style, this is a generalization. So you will notice that well, the ones of you that are Finns will definitely probably be critical about this, but this is kind of like gives an idea of what kind of norms are typical in Finland. So for example, the approach in new situations is usually rather an observer than an active role. Then in silence in communication in Finland is relatively normal, whereas in some other cultures it's negative and the sign of a disagreement or misunderstanding or low interest. Then in Finland, the roles of the speaker and the listener are clearly defined. So when one speaks, the others listen, and listening is silent listening quite often. Whereas in some other cultures, there are not clear roles, but there's more like simultaneous talk, and the listening is active listening. So interrupting means that you are listening and interested. And in Finland, a good speaker keeps the message short and simple and does not underestimate the listener by repeating. So this is typical in Finland that like the speech is kind of like kept very minimal. Whereas in many other languages, people use language elegantly and know how to play with words. And repeating is kind of like emphasizing the message. So it's totally normal part. This is actually something that we didn't discuss about in the exercise, but that's something where Finns often get misinterpreted as well by keeping the message so short. And then intonation and use of voice. In Finland, the intonation is often quite monotonic. So the volume and the pitch don't change often, so the speech can be quite monotonic, but this is also very personal, so it depends on the speaker. And then a speaker is expected to have a calm behavior and no expression of emotions, because that gives a reliable and professional image, which for the ones who are more used to more like lively speeches can feel very boring. And in other languages, it's important to use language colorfully, change the volume and the pitch to emphasize important issues, and express emotions to show that you are devoted to the matter. So like this was a kind of like a generalized description of Finnish communication. It would be interesting to discuss about this, but I think I have 1 minute, so unfortunately no time for that. But to wrap up about intercultural communication, so communication is always intercultural. So practically we all belong to different groups. So we all bring different norms to the conversation. So in that sense, remember that communication is always intercultural and each individual is a mystery. So it's good to avoid generalizations based on looks or background. And then also it's important to remember that the context or the setting is important. As we discussed about these different communication styles, we noticed that like in different situations, it's more okay to behave in a certain way, etc. So in different situations, different norms are dominant. And the intercultural communication competence is about self-reflection. So learning to see how others might interpret your way of communicating is important. And then also trying to understand other ways to communicate and various viewpoints, and understand also the fact that same situation can be interpreted in several different ways. And as I already mentioned, it's important to see mistakes, misunderstandings, and conflicts as learning opportunities. Then in intercultural communication, it's also important to negotiate meaning and observe and verbalize the non-verbal. So for example, if you know that your behavior easily could be interpreted wrong, you can already explain that in Finland, typically, we do this and this. For example, when we have a visiting lecturer from abroad, we from the international services usually always tell the lecturer that, okay, it's normal that the Finnish students don't comment anything or they are like not actively. In Haaga it's quite different because we expect active participation, but often the audience could be quite silent in Finland, and that's normal, and it doesn't mean that it's a bad speaker. It's more just a cultural norm. And then analyze your emotional reactions, because especially if you get angry in a situation, it might be something intercultural. And then, well, you had a good example of like, this is something that I would be interested in maybe developing, trying out. So intercultural communication competence is also about expanding your communication repertoire. So trying new ways to communicate. And development of intercultural competence is always a lifelong process, so we're never ready, and there will always be some misunderstandings. But still, it's important to remember that practically intercultural dialogue, in its ideal form, is based on similarities. So look at the similarities more than the differences, and then also try to tolerate the mistakes and the uncertainties that are always there when we have intercultural communication. Yes. So I will finish here. Thank you for your active participation.
So you will have a short break. Be back 15 past. Have some coffee, cookies, so on. Go to the bathroom. We need to break rooms.
One is like used to.
Oh yeah, so you know.
Because if that doesn't work, I don't know. otherwise I don't know.
But like when you actually like told me about
Yeah, it might be.
I knew that like you had a class coming up, like I knew one foster, right? Like he's like big, kid. And he put like these hues on, okay, just smile. And I bounced like all over the buses. So that was adorable. I think that should be going on. I'm always like, you know, my parents or something. I'm like, but like, anyway, I just remember, wait, my mom is gorgeous, my dad is It is, and then it's like, if you want to, and the other day, I'll just be like, yeah, I'll put that in the next one. And go on it. All about the point of view. And it is actually like, it would be nice to like practice these things. Go to like a bar, have like this food, or just like non-alcoholic, whatever. And then just go there and just, you know, like try to do this, like actually like, you know, okay, go for someone, like do the opposite, right? Try to get it. I don't know, or try. Anyways, one thing that I would love to practice with everyone would be just like to push themselves to out of their comfort zone in some way. Would be like even like say go and try to ask, try to think some person like try to see that way that you have like a little more personal with a stranger. Like I actually did this like coffee with a stranger. I was actually finished like we for our course like experience design. I was gonna have a coffee with a stranger, and I was finishing my coffee so that I'll go and ask someone for coffee. And then I met this, and they were like these two Korean men, and then I just like, oh, yeah. And then I'm like, and I started to talk to them, and I'm like, hey, I have this plan. Do you want to go? Yeah. And they actually, so I took them to Cafe Esplanade. And you know, like have coffee and lunch and talk about life and everything. And then later on, I also showed them where to get like food and stuff. And they gave me some important. Yeah. And then later on, they took me for a drink as well. When I went to
Talking on me like,
Or you will like, you have to meet with someone.
no.
Opposite
Opposite politics of
yeah.
It's like multiple Tinder. I would be cool, but I don't think I'm qualified enough to actually have checked it, like, you know, statistics. So I feel like I would go to it. I'm like, oh, really? It's like I had a point, but here we Google it. Like I feel like you know, I just but. It's like you're in a sense like. And this is actually like, well, this is like here, when I ask you people, like, you know, first of all, if you're receiving having a seat on the bus, yeah, if you're having a seat on the bus, and it's like someone's driving, but if it's driving, not in her house, but if it's one of them, like, you know, they might, yeah. And like they came when we were in a Skype meeting, and it was our room. There was four options, and then one guy came.
She's very nice.
Pretty normal Skype meeting. And it was nice. They were talking to Fujitsu, so it was like, but then we later I was like, okay, actually, we're gonna go to the house. This has been taken But like, it actually, like, I realized that I do that quite often, that like, I say like, I'm not fully sure, but like, I don't, I don't want to say anything that I'm not really but like, a lot of my friends also talk to me like that. You don't need a lead. I just want to. Yeah, I mean, just hold it.
Three essays.
And then it's like, even if you're in pain, you gotta write. It's like, you remember when you were like,
Joo.
These are not the easiest of them all. Okay, good. Did you so far? Please. So much information. I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's not quite like we're going for
But you're getting more old.
Let's listen what Iris and Helga wants to share with us today. Welcome.
Thank you. So, yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Anne, and he's Salma. Yeah, and we're gonna present like Iris and Helga today. And in the beginning, we want to talk about like what the reason make us to choose Iris and Helga. So for me, I was an exchange student last year in France for the whole year, and I realized the concept of like international students, like being friends with people and like working with international environments. So that reason why I applied to be like ESN Helga member. Like I didn't go through like ESN like exchange tutor. I just go straight to be like ESN like board member, and it's really good like experience for me.
And my story was that when I actually started in Haaga in 2015 August, then I was already like interested to see like what kind of like international stuff they have in Haaga. Then I found out that aside from like peer tutoring, they also have exchange tutoring, and then I applied to that. I was a couple semesters as an exchange tutor. Then I went on to the board, so I've been like peer manager, vice president, and now I'm a vice president. Yes.
And now I'm gonna present our whole team. So we have 7 board members in total. And here's Alex, he's the president, and his Farmer vice president. She's a campus coordinator, coordinating like many campus in our school. And it's me. I'm doing like communication manager. And Martha and Julia, they're doing event coordinators. And Larry, he's doing like local representative. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this
Yeah,
is
we
technical issues.
messed up, but sorry. And she's like all information about what we're doing like, and who are you. So we are organization organizing like in activities for exchange students in 4 main campus: Haaga, Pasla, Portable, and Birumaki. And ESN stands for Erasmus uh, Student Network. Sorry, I was speaking. And yeah, so we work under like Helga student union, and we also work together with the other international like services, and we are the part of the biggest student union in all over Europe. Yes. And now I'm gonna go to present like ESN in general, because we have ESN like Helga, but we have many other like higher sections. Yeah, from another country, so I'm not gonna present it on general. And so ESN is the key volunteer student organization in international higher education in Europe, and is a definition basically. And here's our vision and mission. For the mission, we trying to provide opportunities for cultural understanding and self-development. And for the vision, we try to enrichment the society through international environments. So that is basically about what we're doing in general. And here the map, like the value map of like ESN in general. And this like the thing like we have like European section, and we're the smaller one, but we also like, apply this value in our section. So started from like connecting student with student, we open a network to create like the integrated community from all over European Union. And in general, we have like an area of peace and cultural exchange. So we go from the beginning, like helping each other, and go into the bigger concept of like community.
Yes. And these were then the values and mission and
the vision of Erasmus Student Network. But of course, since we are part of the whole network, that is why we also try to work within these values and vision. So on to the bigger picture still. These are all the current ESN countries based on last year's data. And we have this one. So there's over 500 sections all over Europe. And in Finland, there's 17 of us in different cities and several sections in some cities. There's 13,000 active members, which in this set counts for example, board members in each sections and like the national board, etc. Then the 21,000 count for active members such as tutors and other like buddy systems that other sections in other countries might have. And together we are helping over 350 students per year, exchange students that is. And the structure of ESN is that we have the local level, the national level, and the international level. So here in Haaga Helga, we are the local level, ESN Helga. Then nationally, so in Finland, we have the national board, which is ESN Finland, and the international is Erasmus Student Network. And that's just like the abbreviation. It's something in French, but it stands for International Non-Profit Organization.
Yeah, and about the local level, we have 5 sections working on together, like sometimes to co-create a party and some activities all together. So we have like Aalto University, Metropolia, Uni Helsinki, Laurea, and Haaga Helga. And it's like ESN Aalto, ESN Metropolia, ESN Uni Helsinki, ESN Laurea, and ESN Helga. So for example, some activities we're creating it by ourselves, but some like parties in a club or like some other activities, yeah. For example, Prison Island, I don't know if you've been there or not, but we collaborate with ESN Metropolia to hold that whole event.
Yes, to go with ideas.
Yeah, and also ideas.
Yeah, so these are the 5 sections here in Helsinki area. And you maybe also saw some May 1st Baku picnic together with Metka and Helga and those people. So this is a kind of general picture of how the network is set up. So here on the local level, we have the different sections. So ESN Haaga, for example. Then on the national level, we have ESN Finland, and then of course the other countries, they have the other national boards. And then they have there from the national board, they have the national representatives, and they have meetings at these Council of National Representatives. So it's basically just that information flow and decisions will go smoother than to try to have meetings with 500 plus sections. But then, of course, we have the international board ID, and then there are like secretariats and other people that help them do their work. Then we have the AGM, is the annual general meeting, and now actually that was in the beginning of or in mid-April that we were in Greece this year, so Thessaloniki. And that's the annual general meeting is like the highest decision-making body in ESN. So this is actually the exception where representatives from each section in each country come together, and then we make important decisions, network, and have some fun. So yeah, this structure is going to change in the coming year. For example, AGM is going to be the final time next year, and then the logo is also going to be updated. So soon you won't be seeing that one anymore. But yes, then of course we have the old parts, soon to be me and Al as well, the alumni. Yeah. So even though you might graduate from school and not be active in your section anymore, you can still be an alumni and continue with it. So here are some of the projects that ESN works with. So for example, Social Erasmus, they promote any kind of volunteer opportunities, especially for if you're an exchange student in a country, then we try to promote what kind of volunteer opportunities you can do during your exchange. So it doesn't have to be just about studies and partying. You can also get involved in the community. Then exchangeability, they're trying to increase the awareness of that. Of course, like there's people with different disabilities, and then we're trying to make the exchange opportunities more possible for everybody. Exactly. Then responsible party, as the name might suggest, they try to promote partying responsibly. So you can have fun, you can be drinking, but then we're trying to also raise awareness of how to maybe not too intensely on the alcohol, have water in between, etc. Then we have educate. That's a international training project that that especially has different trainings in different ESN events, focusing more on like soft skills, so you can learn anything about like group conflicts, project management, communication skills, all that interesting stuff. Then move in Europe, they promote mobility, so student exchange, Erasmus Plus internships, etc. And yes, that's some of them.
So it's like kind of international environment. And now we would love to go back to our ESN section, like ESN Helga. And here, like this, you can see like this our exchange student card. But as a tutor, and you also have a card like this. And with this card, you can go to like have a cheaper price with events and parties. And sometimes you can go to like have a go on a trip with us. But I'm not going to talk about it later. And
yeah, so since we mainly focus on creating different events and trips for exchange students, then we of course have the official membership card, which we have different discounts for our events and trips, but then of course on the website itself there's a different discounts for travel, hostel things, etc. And as tutors, you will also be able to get this card.
Yeah. And if you want to check the discounts and kind of promotions, you can go to our website and they like a list of like what you can receive with the card. Yes. And here's like about our trips. So we have 3 main trips per semester. The first one is POPs, like going to private cruise. Yeah, it's a cruise to go to Sweden and go back like 3 days, 2 nights. And the second one is St. Petersburg. We're gonna go to St. Petersburg like 4 days, 3 nights. And the Lapland trip, like we're gonna go to Lapland to the north and past Santa Claus village for 5 days and 4 nights. So it's like for each semester we're gonna have like these trips offering for exchange students. And to organize it, we collaborate with time travelers to have like the best experiences for exchange students. And as working like closely to each other, like exchange tutors and ESN Helga, we can like organize it and go to the trip all together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Time Travels is like our main travel agency partner, and these are the main recurring trips that we have.
Yeah, and besides the trips, as I mentioned before, we also have like events and parties. So some of our events, for example, you can see like people and skate, like picnic or bowling, we created like by ourselves. And like this semester, we also have like movie hangouts and a sort of picnic at a bar pool. They like you can, I think like you saw us like somewhere around. Yeah, so that's like activities we created by ourselves, and with like last in like we can create all together.
Yeah, so I'm gonna come back to that a little later in the presentation, but of course you have also the possibilities of coming up with your own events, event trips.
Yeah.
And then with the help of your peers and us, and possibly even the other sections in Helsinki and maybe even ESM Finland.
Yeah. We're gonna work closely.
We have the means to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, focus on your guys. What about the tutors? So, even though we are the board who does like a lot of the work and a lot of the planning prior to the semesters, there's only 7 of us, and we have a lot of internal things that we need to focus on. So that is why we really rely on the tutors to help us make the exchange students' experience here the best possible. Oh yeah, this is the lagging thing again. There we go. All right. So of course, since you are trained as tutors mainly by Helga, then as you might already know, you are the first contact for the incoming international students, and you have the pickup service and the orientation week. But in addition to that, what we also hope that you will be able to help us with is to plan and create events, help out as group leaders during the trips, and promote events, be involved in ES and Helga activities, so not only the events, but also we have member meetings and other hangouts, and just have fun, because we do this, we are also just fully volunteer based, so I wouldn't be here unless I liked it, and I hope you are also here not only for the credits, but for the fun and for meeting new people, and just making your tutor experience the best possible. So, what can you do as tutors? So first of all, being a tutor, you will have the chance to develop your skills, soft skills, hard skills. For example, project events management, communication, English language, and yeah, even other languages with the other exchange students from the other non-English speaking countries. Then of course meeting new people from different cultures, meeting like people from other tutors, and getting to know the board hopefully as well. Attend events, travel. So for our parties and I would say most events, we also give the tickets for the tutors as thank you for like helping us, etc. And then for most travels, it kind of depends, it varies. But for example, with the time travels trips, we have group leaders that need to come and attend the trip to be assistants for the actual no, what is it, the travel guides or the time travel staff basically. So for example, for Lapland, I think for every 21 or 25 tickets sold, so if that many exchange students get to go, they will get one free group leader spot. And that's basically all costs covered, so you only have to pay for your food and drinks. So it's a nice reward for doing your job well. Then of course, aside from tutoring, you can be more involved in ESN, both as in ESN Haaga board, just like helping us in other ways. And then we're also having the upcoming board member elections. So if you are really motivated, you can also become a board member. Then there's opportunities to partake in national and international events. For example, as an ESN active, you can go to the national platforms. Then there's a lot of like trainings happening both nationally, internationally. Then, for example, as I've been now to the annual general meeting. Last year was Costa Brava in Spain, and this year was Thessaloniki in Greece. I mean, yes, there's a lot of like plenaries and long meetings and discussions, but at the same time, you get to travel a little bit and meet other people, like-minded people. So that's really rewarding. And of course, recognition. You get the study credits from Helga, and if you want, we can provide you with a diploma, and of course, you get great content for your CV. All right. So here's an example. Like if you want to then organize events, which we hope you would like to do, because yes, we have a set amount of events and trips for each semester, but it's always nice to have variation, different things we can try out, and different ideas, because we're only 7, and yes, we have ideas, but it's always fun to hear from you guys as well. So yes, the set events and trips. We're hoping that we can get help with promotion and the execution of the events itself. So event staff for some events. But then of course you can always approach us with your ideas, whether it be trips or events or just some kind of hangouts. And then we can talk about this later in the fall or end of summer, but all you need is a project plan. It doesn't have to be nitty-bitty details, just the overall thing. Uh, a rough estimate on the budget, then like when you would want to hold it and how long it's gonna take, and then promote it. And of course, you don't have to do it yourself. You have the other tutors who can help you. You have the board members, and then also if it's like a bigger scale event that you want to create, then we also have help from the other Helsinki sections and ESN Finland. And then aside from our budget, which is kind of limited, but we have other means of getting funds if needed. Yes. So what we expect from you? Let's see. First of all, open communication. You can always approach us with anything. We also have on our website. No, all right, we don't have it. But we can create it that if there's some instance that you have some feedback or ideas for us, but you don't want to personally approach us, we can create a Google form that we can like anonymously submit it. Or then of course you can ask if any of your peers want to approach us with the thing, or if your head tutor wants to. But yes, we try to be transparent with you, so we hope that you will be open with us. And if we have any questions, for example, in the Facebook group and stuff, we hope that you will participate in the potential discussions or voting, so that we also know what you want. Because if you don't communicate, then we don't know what you want, and then yeah. Oh, go ahead.
So it's usually in social media that you're kind of like access to organize this.
Yeah, so the main communication channel, we can, if you have ideas on alternatives, then we can of course like take that into consideration. But in the recent years, there has always been a Facebook group for tutors, where we have that kind of internal communication. And then of course for each semester we have the exchange student group, where we're gonna invite all of the exchange students and you will be in it. And there we have like communication with them. Then of course tutors usually have also a WhatsApp channel, and at least this year, I don't know about previous years, but we have also had like a WhatsApp channel for exchange students if they want to have that. Yes, cooperation as well. We're hoping that you will be interested and motivated in attending our events and also helping us create the events and execute them. And yeah, active participation. We are constantly trying to aim to create events that not only revolve around partying and drinking. So we try to be more responsible and also various in that sense. Then, as with representing Helga with your tutorship, for example, when you are, as for example, group leader on the trips or attending our events, yeah, you can have fun and everything, but still, most of your exchange students will see you as the tutors. So still try to remember that you are also representing Yes and Helga. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Then feedback, as I mentioned earlier, if we don't know what you want, then we don't know what to give you. So let's try to give feedback, and we are also happy to give feedback. And yeah, constructive feedback. We of course like we want to hear if there's anything wrong with what we're doing or with like what's happening with the tutors or anything, so that we can improve. But also the lovey-dovey positive feedback is also always welcome. And then of course positive vibes and can-do attitude. There is sometimes as in life challenges and stuff, but you have the support network, I hope, or we are there for you if anything. So I would now like to hear, I know this is early and you have had like intense day, I'm assuming, but is there any kind of expectation that you come up with now that you have from us as the ESN Haaga board? Is there anything specific you wish that we would do with you, or how we would act around you, or anything like that? Any expectations at all?
are you like our boss? To say that?
We are your friends.
Yeah. Of course, like we have, well, I don't want to say like authority or stuff, but we of course like trying to hold on to the ropes. But we are also tutors. No, we are also students here on a voluntary basis, and we wish that you would also not see us as anything like boss level. I don't dare to talk to you. We are here also as friends, and yeah, you can approach us with anything. Yeah.
What about you said Erasmus? So what about the guys who come from, let's say, about Asia? Do they
Yeah,
come
so
to
they're
you guys
not.
also? Is there something else?
Yeah, so even though they are not like Erasmus plus exchange students, they are still like, of course, like exchange students here. So it's only, yeah, it's kind of nitty bitty with the name, but all of our incoming exchange students will be like fully participating with us.
They come from Erasmus Plus. So with Erasmus Plus, it means like go from another continent, also not only Erasmus. Yeah. So because I was in France last year for Erasmus, and some of my friends from like Japan and China, they came from Erasmus Plus, like the extra like
Yeah.
continent.
But it depends on which kind of exchange program they are on. But to us, like incoming international students, they are more than welcome to join us. And not only that, of course, like we hope that you as tutors join our events, and we also want to welcome other students. So it's not only that we have exclusively trips and events for our exchange students, we also welcome full degree students and students from other schools. For example, Diaco, they don't have an official ESN section, but we have now been cooperating with them in that sense that we invite them to our events and try to get them those exchange students included as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I was wondering, like, when are actually the next meetings?
We're gonna talk about it.
You're gonna have all those days.
Yeah, next we don't have any like set to dates about the upcoming meetings apart from next week's where we have the member meeting slash for elections. It's gonna be next week on the 9th, but we have a slide for that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Because then I was just wondering also, like, how many extra events was there to like in the past for like one period of time? Like one set.
Events.
Yeah, like from help from tutors. How often do people do that?
So actually, we try to create events every single month for exchange students. Like we try to organize trip to Fasia and also going to like movie, bowling, skating. So we have many activities for exchange students per month. But the point is that we do not have enough human resources to do it. So some of activities we need to cancel. Yeah, we do not have time and enough people for doing it. That's the reason why Barma she mentioned like we would love to have your help next semester to help us create like best environment and best memories for exchange students.
Yeah, and it of course depends on the type of event. Like if it's gonna be like a large scale sit or trip, then of course that needs to be like planning has to start like several weeks, preferably a month or two in advance. But then there can be like these easily managed movie nights or something like that. So it always depends on the resources, the timing, and when we like start to plan it for. And then of course with overlapping events, that if there's gonna be like these events, for example, the freshers, we of course don't want to like have any kind of event on that day because we want our exchange students to experience the freshman party. Or then if you will have joint events with the other Helsinki sections. So depending on the time and resources. Yeah. Any other expectations or questions? No? But feel free if you have any. Please contact us.
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know how much you're actually in contact with the exchange students, but I'm just wondering, do they have the previous exchange students have any wishes specifically what type of events they would like to see more of? Or can like previous tutors have they like put on the message forward, like, oh yeah, tell the next tutors more of this and this happen?
I mean, we have tried to gather feedback from exchange students and tutors with varying results. So of course, like we always try to, depending on the event, if it's like a larger scale event, we try to provide like a feedback afterwards. During events or after events, like right after events, we always try to like talk with the people and see like what did they think of the event, like is this something that we can continue with, etc. So yeah.
We have resources for it. Like we sent out a survey and asking people which activities they would love to do. And we have the list of what we would love to organize for them. But the point is that we do not have time and enough people to do it. So we have know what we have now. But yeah. We're looking for what to have in you.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So for I'm gonna do my job. It's my job. Yeah, so we are available on social media. You can say like you can and add us from like Facebook page, Tutor group, official page of ESN Helga, mascot at archives me like Haaga. You can add me on Facebook and say hi to me like waving something. And you can also send a message via email or just go to campus to see us and say hi. So you can reach out on online or face to face, and we always welcome for it. Yeah.
Do you already have the Facebook group for you tutors? No. Right. We're gonna see with the head tutor. Yeah, I haven't checked with your head tutor yet, Laura, if she's gonna add you to the existing one or if she's gonna create a new one. Awesome. Yes. So the ESN tutors group is coming. Then we have the official page ESN Helga. And what's not listed here is that, of course, we're gonna then create the Facebook group for the exchange students as well, where you will be present. Does everyone know where our office is? Do you know where Helga Kitchen is? Yes. So it's right before you enter to Helga Kitchen. It's the same cubicle as IDS Helga. Yeah, that is our lovely mascot Harold. On the hamster, he looks like a guinea pig, but he did identify as a hamster.
He went for traveling for 6 months, and then he's back.
Oh yeah.
Like in ESN, we usually like still mascot of the other section, and he was like away somewhere. Chris, I don't know.
No, he was a labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Tried to escape in
Same thing.
Oh yeah, this is the Hi.
Alright, so as I mentioned before, we're gonna have a meeting next meeting on the 9th of May, and we also have the board election day on the same day. So if you're interested in joining us, we have 4 open positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have the 2 spots for events and trips coordinators, because there's 2 of them in the board. Then we have the local representative, and then we have the PR and communications.
Yeah, so if you want to know more about what we're doing, you can send us a message and asking like openly like, oh hey, what you're doing, or you can follow us on this like event. We're gonna update on the information needed for the meeting, and also like we're trying to provide you as much information that we can. But feel free to pop up and like say hi to us and ask your questions. So hopefully, I would love to see many of you on the 9th of May on the 5 p.m. Yeah. See you there, maybe, probably, hopefully.
Yeah. And even though you wouldn't want to apply as a board member, we hope that you will at least make it to the meeting itself, because then of course like you can see the candidates and vote for who you would like to work with. Yeah.
Is it going to be in Pasila?
Pasila, yes. We're gonna update the classroom. Right. Any other questions?
And if you get in the board, is it like for 1 year or how?
So these elections are gonna start in, the mandate technically starts in July, but it's like a transition process, because of course like if you apply for the PR and communications, then during that time Anne is gonna tell you
what you need to do and
etc. And then we're gonna have some team building things, etc. But this is for the end of the year, and then in December we're gonna have the board elections for the next year.
And some common questions like, can I be the tutor and board member at the same time? So I think that it's possible. For example, Julia, Martha, Alex, and and Larry also. They before that they are tutor and they show ESN board members, and they're working like both. Like they work under like tutor organization, but also ESN board member. So it's gonna be more fun, I think.
Yeah. So as long as you have the motivation, then it's like it's easy to juggle the both of them and studies at work.
Yeah, and so like if you want to be like the extra, one of those extras maybe, then you be like an extra board member. Not
We don't have any of those at the moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because like we have 7 current positions, and we're working kind of like collaborate and like work close to each other. So sometimes, for example, if I'm busy, the other person can take my job. Like for example, hey, can you help me with publish something? Sometimes I can like send the publication or something to on Facebook or the other thing. So we kind of like working closely to each other and help each other in need.
Is it possible to become board member if I can't make it to the meeting?
yes,
Yeah.
you can send your application also beforehand. So.
So you just like send us by email like your motivation why you would like to join us and what you can do first and something, and we're gonna have like voting on that day. We're gonna show your application for everybody and like explain like why you can't be in a meeting, and it's okay for it.
But all the information will be in there.
Is it possible to be in ESN and study not in Helsinki? I'm from Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, our current campus coordinator, Heidi, she's used to study in Porvoo, so she now lives in Helsinki fully, but she used to live there. And then we also had like, for example, Jenny back in the day. She was also a Porvoo student, so
Yeah.
it's really possible.
Yeah, sometimes you can attend a meeting. We can do Skype. It's really flexible for you if you want to join us.
Right. Any other questions? No, then we have some questions for you. Does anyone
It's sound on.
So do you have your phone with you? Yeah.
So apologies for the live stream viewers. Or
Maybe they're gonna join.
We can give you the code.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, it's my shop. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Yeah. You ready?
I have oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because you have no, because there has
I have my figure. And I have one here.
I can in the meantime ask, have you been on exchange already? Are some planning on going on exchange? But of course, what we also do in ESM is that we promote also internationalization at home. So for example, you as tutors, you will of course be constantly in contact with the exchange students. So it also goes 2 ways that, yes, there's variables why you necessarily can't make it to an exchange, but you will get the internationalization at home as well.
By the way, when is there like a annual gala for ESN just in Helsinki?
Not ESN Helga. ESN in Helsinki had one this spring. And yeah, we've been thinking about it, but it's also about the resources and planning.
So basically, right now, it might be a good time for me to clarify. ES and Helga is a part of Helga, so
Yes.
that's why they don't have an annual gala, because they're one of our working groups.
Yeah, we've been thinking how to fix it. That's the least. But yes, so we work under the student union, which is of course Helga, as IDS Helga does as well. So that is also why you are trained mainly by Helga as well, because we're part of Helga.
So you are Helga tutors, but you work closely with ESN. To make it confusing.
Okay. Why didn't you just look into it? No? Okay. Sorry, technical issues. Yeah, it's okay.
I know.
I was impressed on this. Okay, so as you know, it's Istanbul Air Force Student Network. Congratulations. So since we are not like paid student organization, we work at like non-profit. We're trying to create activities for free, just like to provide the other people like happiness.
Yeah, and of course, like we get funds from Helga and from our other partners, but we don't get paid for anything. So. Yeah. Yes. And we are in the student union. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Okay. And it's over 500 sections in the network.
Yeah.
17 in Finland and 5 in Helsinki.
Who's that?
Well, let's see if you pay attention. Someone's sleepy.
So we have five: Metropolia, Anto, Uni Helsinki, Laurea, and us, Helga. Ooh, someone on check.
Guy.
I don't know. There's like. Oh, great. Yes, everybody's right. We have events, trips, and parties for exchange students.
No money because we're poor.
Yeah, no money, we poor. Oh. Okay, four people sleeping. Yeah, we have seven. Vice president, vice presidents, and communication manager, two event coordinators, and local representatives,
And campus coordinator.
and campus coordinator.
Guy. Yes. So specifying the paying for the ticket to trips. As tutors, if you go as group leaders, or if you're at events, or for example, our joint parties in Helsinki, we will give the tickets for the tutors. But of course, if you just join as a participant for the trips or the bigger events, then they might of course cost. But as tutors, it's most likely. Cool guys.
Yeah, so as you know, we're gonna have like the board meeting and also the election day on the 9th of May. So welcome to join us.
Yes, all tutors, and of course, since we are under Helga, so all Helga members are welcome to join and vote and all that. So yes, technically 7th and 8th are correct if you apply via email, but if you want to apply, then preferably try to attend it in person. Number 2 is too late. Number 10 is too late.
Oh yes. Yeah, we have a lot. Like in general, we have like around 300 to 400 exchange students for whole academic year. But like in autumn, we have more exchange students than in spring. But in total, like combined together, like 300 to 400. So it's a lot of exchange students, and that reason why we need your help for the organizing and everything.
Yes. So in general, in the fall term, there's around 200 exchange students, and in the spring term, there's around 150.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, on all the campuses, so for one we are included.
Ooh.
Last question.
So exam assistant, we do not have it. We have like 4, 5. Yeah, we have 6. Yeah, we have 6 different positions. and positions like president, vice president, communication manager, local representative, event coordinators, campus coordinators, and that's it. I miss count. Alright, let's see the winner. Oh, yes. Yay.
Alright. You will get the prize during the member meeting. If you can make it, if you can't, then let us know. Yeah, we will give you the prize.
Awesome. Alright. Thank you so much for attention. And oh, not yet. Sorry.
What's the secret?
I messed up.
Right. I plan on showing you a quick video. This is from the project Move in Europe, but especially if you have been, well, this guy is an ESNer and he's giving this viewpoint from having been an exchange and then coming back home and how you can still continue in ESN. And yeah, I just wanted to end our session with this inspirational little clip, if it works. Hopefully.
Welcome to Erasmus. It has been 6 months, but when an Erasmus experience comes to its end, the question comes up again, what do you do afterwards? How do you move on and how do you go back to your normal life? Well, you don't. The Erasmus chapter might end, but it is not the end of the story. When you go back home, it is not the same anymore. And after a while, you start to look for the exchange students again, only to get a taste of the old feeling back, of the real Erasmus spirit. We don't talk about it, but after a while, you watch them, and you realize that your time has passed, but they are on their journey right now. You know what Erasmus has given to you. They don't, and no one else back home does. And the fire comes up again, and you start to understand what they once said. Once Erasmus, always Erasmus. And then it is time to give something back. We have a great impact on their experience, on the story of their life, all across Europe. And greatness is a lot of small things done well. We've come a long way in 25 years of effort, and it is up to you to earn your place in their memories. Let us start moving forward together. Let us start planting the Erasmus spirit with every single event we do. And then we are moving Europe.
I like his voice, like so strong, so good.
Alright, and that's it for us. We thank you for your attention and so happy to have you as a tutor.
We have like best moments with exchange, tutor, program, and I'm gonna see you in the tutor camp.
Oh yeah, I'm just coming along with Alex.
I'm gonna have a workshop with that.
Thanks for joining, girls. Yeah, see you with Alex, right? Yeah. So we'll see you there. We're gonna continue from here.
I hope to see you. All you will see her.
Bye.
Yeah,
Okay, we're a bit ahead of the schedule, but I think any of you will object that, so let's move on to the camp information session. So what, when, where, how, why, all the questions, we'll get them answered by them now. So we're gonna have approximately actually 22 tutors attending to the camp, including 10 trainers. The idea of the camp is to concentrate on bonding and cooperating and the whole. Yeah, this is pretty important, guys. Sorry, and team building as well. Well, the idea of the camp is to practice all the information that you have learned during these evening sessions. So it's time to put them in the practical matter. Meals, transportation are complimentary, so you don't have to pay anything for that. We have done everything for you. And bring only the needed equipment and yourself, and you're gonna see the packing list in a minute, so you know what to camp with you. The camp will be in Kesarinne. None of us have been there before. I mean, we went there and checked the place out, but we usually arrange the camps in Kiljava. So this is new for us as well. There's one picture of the Kesarinne, and then there's a map, like where it is located exactly. The address is Turaniemen tie 27 for those of you who arrive with your own car. Here's the raw program of the first day. We're gonna meet 8:45 in Pasla. I think all of you are coming to Pasla except those who take their own car. The bus is gonna leave at 9, but as mentioned there, 8:45, please, because we're not gonna wait for the people who are late. Then when we arrive to Kesarinne, we will have some time to put the sheets to beds and just look around how the place looks like and so on. Then from 11, we're gonna have workshops and lunch. Then at evening time, some preparation for the evening program, which is the best part of the whole camp. Free time and dinner. Then, of course, the evening program, sauna, games, and all the fun you want to do. There are nylky and sähky and some other equipment. Quiet time at that time, so people can also have their sleep. And you're gonna have 4 workshops in the first day, and then 2 on the second day. And we will divide you in different groups that you're gonna do the whole checkpoint tour thingy. We're gonna wake up pretty early. It's not a holiday; it's a working day for you guys. So breakfast will be at 8 o'clock. Then we're gonna have the 2 leftover workshops. Ending ceremony, then packing and cleaning and getting back home. We have to clean the whole area afterwards, so just a notification for everybody, the cleaner you are, the less we have work to do. So bear that in mind. Any question about the program? No, you will also receive this to your email. I mean, I actually sent it already, so you have it there now. Here's the packing list. Shortly, I sent you the same one via email. I think the most important part is that the whole camp is non-alcoholic, so no alcoholic. Okay. I mean, no alcohol. And is there anything that's really important? Full coveralls, and then you're gonna need practical shoes. We will be outside as well and playing some games. So please pack something else than the Crocs. Yes.
Have you asked about our allergies?
Yes, when you applied to be a tutor, you sent us your allergies. Or do you have something to add?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, we picked them up from that list, so it's all good. Or at least should be. Yes. For any questions, please contact your head tutor first. So either Laura or Heidi, and if they cannot answer the question, then me or Thea. You can see our email from there, or if you follow us in any social medias, please don't hesitate. Up there either. I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing. You need to gather up because we're gonna take a picture together. And the feedback as well. But let's take the picture first, or the feedback first. And the feedback. So feedback first. We have feedback from the first day and the second day. Try to remember what the peeps talked about yesterday. Could you receive the back? Hey, all of us write feedback, okay? I'm ready to hear it all. You guys receive?
I heard. There you go. Do you have?
Yes,
I'm sorry. Letter.
So one more time, you get 30 hours from the two of these evening training sessions, and then the camp. So 15 and 15. Yeah, and you can mark that immediately, so you don't have to ask him on meet later. Joo, oota. Siis 30 on kuitenkin sitä yhteistyötä. Joo. Niin sulla on passi. Totta. Joo. Joo. Eikä nää.
I have a question for you. Do you like that? Like each tutor training was like 3 hours, and then for your tutor camp, like
You get 24.
for it's a so it'll be 12 euros.
It's 30, yeah, like in total. So just divide
Okay.
that with 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that serious business, you know. If you just put that, you get 30 hours
Yeah.
total from that.
Okay.
Like louder nose. Where to get the pens back as well? 24. Yeah, 24 candles. That's okay. I don't mind. Yeah. Let's take the picture together and then you are free to go.
So try to gather up in like the first 2 rows into like this.
I think the first row gets set. Does that make sense? It does.
So try to gather in like the first 2 rows. Like picture of all you guys.
Oh yeah.
Try to squeeze in a little like 5 seconds.
Yay! 1, 2, 3, Helga Tutor. Helga Tutor.